in Anaheim, February 17th. I think Henry Cejudo is going to be competitive for all of 3 to 4 minutes, maybe the whole first round. I think my early prediction for this is Merab Dvalishvili finishes Henry Cejudo in round three. I'm going to say TKO. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the weekly scraps, baby. All right. So word has gotten out that Henry Cejudo is finally going to sign the contract against Machine Merab Dvalishvili. For February, we have Alexander Volkanovski taking on Ilya Topuria. This is a big fight for the country of Georgia. And now you got Merab stepping in on the card with his fellow countrymen taking on one of the greatest of all time in Henry Cejudo. This is a great fight. As per the sources. As per the source. Why can't I say sources? As per the sources, Henry Cejudo disclosed that the fight is going to happen. Verbal agreement. Apparently contracts are out. I spoke to Merab, so I know my information and whatnot. I can't wait for this. This has been a long time coming. I remember from the press conference, Henry Cejudo talking trash to Merab, and me telling Henry, like, yo, after I'm done with you, Merab is going to whoop that ass next. I'm telling you. I think this is a great fight. So before I get into any of the trash talking stuff, I'm not even trying to do that. What I want to get into is the nitty-gritty of why you people are here. But before we get to that, make sure you hit that damn like button. Smash that thing and put that like button in a rear naked choke and put it to sleep. With that being said, Olympic level grappler, judo black belt, also sambo practitioner. I believe Merab is on an 8-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken. Long win streak. Been active this entire time. Took out a lot of tough competitors. Henry Cejudo, been active for a long time. Took out a lot of tough competitors. We're no longer in the category of wrestling. He's got that in his back pocket no matter what. But it's not like he's every day grinding in the wrestling match. And that was one of the things I said about our fight. I actively still wrestle in my training sessions. I think that's very different from someone who accomplished what they want to accomplish in this realm, wrestling, and then they set their sights on a new sport, and they kind of start to neglect their wrestling to become a different type of athlete in the form of a striker, a more complete fighter. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you have someone who solely bases their game mostly on that grappling that you kind of neglect, I think you can start to see how people can start to catch up. Now, overall, no one's going to be able to have the wealth of knowledge at the highest level of grappling in the sense of wrestling like Henry Cejudo. Merab is not going to best him in just a straight-up wrestling match. I'm probably not going to best him in a straight-up wrestling match. I probably would be very competitive with him in a wrestling match. But at the end of the day, his technique, him just sharpening his blades for a couple of weeks will probably put him in a much better position than it would for me. Because I haven't wrestled at that level. It's like a different type of commitment, a different type of sacrifice, and a different level of ability to just be able to do that day in and day out. Like, you have to make those sacrifices to become one of the best wrestlers in the world on an Olympic level. And that's what Henry Cejudo has done. Merab has competed a ton as a kid in judo, in some random sambo matches. There was a time in Merab's UFC career where he went to Korea to just do a random sambo tournament. Ended up taking second, went up a weight class. I think it was at 45, he said, and just whooped a whole lot of ass on his way to the finals. That's very difficult to do. Now we got the fight. Let's look at these two. Both guys are relatively the same height. I think Cejudo's a little bit shorter than Merab, if I remember correctly. Well, I know correctly he is shorter than Merab. Now you have the pedigree of the wrestling. You have the pedigree of the wrestling for Merab. Both guys, very good wrestlers, right? I think the cleanest striker, we can say, is Henry Cejudo, so we'll give that to him. We'll say that the cardio factor is beneficial to Merab. Now, this is going to be a 3-round fight, not a 5. So I think in my opinion, if I'm being completely transparent and honest, I think that benefits Henry Cejudo. So we'll give him that. When it comes to kicking, I think the better kicker, from what I remember, I'm going to say Merab. And I might be a little bit biased because I've trained with him all the time and I've fought Henry. And I feel like the kicks from Merab versus the kicks from Henry, obviously shin guards and whatnot, that plays a factor, right? Okay, so I'm taking that into consideration. But I think the way Merab does his, a little bit more sneaky, a little bit more tricky. And I think that's going to be the difference with that. So I think they're relatively stacked up in the same division. When it comes to attributes, they're relatively even. Now we have the clinch. Who gets the advantage in the clinch? Henry Cejudo has that inside leg trip that can always be a weapon. But it's not a weapon if you just take somebody down and you don't do any damage. I think we could all agree on that. But if we're going to go clinch work, who's going to be better in the clinch? Mighty Mouse put down Henry Cejudo in the clinch in their first fight. Can Merab do something similar? I can't see why not. I think he has all the time in the world right now to work on those little things to make sure he's ready in that position so that he could hurt Henry in those positions. So in the clinch, I'll give the advantage from a takedown perspective to Henry. But when it comes to the takedowns, Merab is very tricky and unassuming in that position. And I don't want to give away all his tricks, but he has some very good stuff that he could do in the clinch. And I think that's what's going to make this very, very interesting. So with that being said, I think this fight is very, very close. It's pretty even, if I'm being 100% honest. But the biggest X factor for me, shout out John Anik, by the way, the Ray Longo Minute. I don't know if they got it on their website, Anik and Florian podcast. Go check that out. Thank you, Anik, for the shirt. But the biggest X factor for me is the cardio. Merab is willing to go to the depths where most men are not. He's willing to exhaust himself to get the takedowns and overload your sensory systems with feints, with punches. It might not look the prettiest. I don't care what you guys say. People always talk shit until they stand in front of them. And after the fight's done, everyone has a newfound respect. And they're either lost, confused, or just impressed by the output that he was able to have, the control that he's able to have. And it's not control like I take you down, I get your back. I'm controlling the position. It's controlling the tempo of the fight. The one mistake that anyone has ever really seen was against Marlon Moraes, where he sat in the pocket and tried to trade with a big, heavy puncher like Moraes. I think you saw in the Peter Yan fight, he made the adjustment. He made the adjustment in the Jose Aldo fight, and he knew what he needed to do. That's a smart fighter, making the adjustments going forward. Someone sees a weakness, how do I close that gap so that the next time coming forward, they might think that that's going to be there, but I surprise them with something else. And I think that's what's really good about Merab. Very smart fighter. He doesn't have, like I said, if you watch him hit pads, you watch him drill wrestling, you ain't going to say or be the most impressed like, oh, this guy is a phenom. But when it comes to mixed martial arts, putting it all together, I don't think there's many guys who do it better than that. We've seen Volkanovski. He does it really, really well at a high level. I don't understand why people are not realizing that Merab does the same exact thing at a very high level, neutralizing people. I know Volkanovski has pressed Jose Aldo against the cage for 3 rounds. People were pissed off about it. Merab does the same thing to him. People are pissed off about it. He's taking the path of least resistance to assure the victory, getting the win. He's doing more than your favorite fighter, assuring the win. So you can't be mad at that. So with that being said, I think Merab has done really, really well in his, what would you call it? In his, on his journey on the way to the top. It's unfortunate that he has to take one more tough fight, but he gets past this. I think he is undeniable to get the next title shot. I think in this fight in Anaheim, February 17th, I think Henry Cejudo is going to be competitive for all of 3 to 4 minutes, maybe the whole first round. But I think after that, you're going to start to see a significant dip in the output and the confusion that Henry's going to have. And I think if Merab stays dialed in and focuses on what he needs to do, doesn't rush in, doesn't make any mistakes. Cejudo does good with that karate stance. If you run in, he has a good right hand. Merab needs to know that. He will know that. We will go through the tape. We will go through the same things that he did really well before I fought him and the things that he did really well when I fought him. And that's what it's all about, being a good teammate, being a good training partner, and having some other people that you can trust to look to for the eyes and give you different opinions and things that you might not necessarily be seeing. So I think it's a great fight. I think my early prediction for this is Merab Dvalishvili finishes Henry Cejudo in round 3. I'm going to say TKO. Merab's not really a submission guy. Actually, see, I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna give it away. This is my Donald Trump. See, I'm not gonna give it away. People. I'm not gonna give it away. But Merab's got some tricks. I look forward to this fight. It's gonna be a good one against another tough competitor. It's just the way the game goes. Sometimes you got to fight people that you look up to. I had to fight Henry Cejudo. He was a guy I looked up to on my way up because he came in around the same time, and being an Olympic champion, to do what he's done takes great fortitude, mental strength, and he went up a weight class. And to win a belt over one of the greatest bantamweights of all time, it's huge. Now he's coming back with a goal in mind. He wants to become UFC champion again. The only way to do that, he has to get through Merab. And to get through Merab is going to be very, very difficult. And I think his aspirations end on February 17th when he steps in the cage with Merab Dvalishvili, a.k.a. The Machine. I don't have much else to say to than that, guys. Look at the fights. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'm not trying to just be super nut hugger pushing Merab. That's my boy. That's my guy. Of course, I'm going to ride for him. But you guys know, even when I do my fights, I give the analysis, and I try to be as fair and impartial as I can be. I might have thrown a couple of jabs Henry's way, but at the same time, it's all good and fun. We're ready for it. We're not going to fight again. And I just think it's a very even fight. When you look at the striking, when you look at what both these guys do well, when you look at the things that they struggle with, Henry doesn't have to deal with a much taller person, but he had a tough time when he faced Mighty Mouse because he was a shorter person. Merab's not shorter, but he's about the same height, just a little bit taller. I think that's going to be a little bit difficult for him to work with that, because Merab may be he's not the biggest bantamweight. He fights like a lighter guy, but he hits like a bigger guy. And I think Merab is going to shock the world, and he's going to shock Henry Cejudo come February 17th. And with that said, put your money up, put your bet slips in, and bend the knee to the Machine. Peace.